Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining the Policy and Budget Subcommittee meeting. Happy last meeting of the year. Let's start off with roll call. So Justin Manzerber, Chair of Policy and Budget Subcommittee, West County.
Nicole Grant, East County, Chair Cab, and member of Policy and Policy and Budget Subcommittee.
Right. The staff in the room.
Hi, Patrice Guillory from Office of Reentry and Justice.
Staff on the call.
Timia Seo, Office of Reentry and Justice.
And anyone else who has joined us on the call?
Jill Ray with the Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson.
Michelle Elizondo, Program Coordinator, Office of Reentry and Justice.
Jamie Schechter of Contra Costa Health.
One person who's on an iPad, if they're able to identify themselves. Well, Kimmy, do you mind zooming in just a tad? Oh, and
Sure.
Great. Number 2 is public comment for any item under the jurisdiction of this subcommittee that is not on the agenda. Staff, anyone else on the call? Move to approve the record of action from the last subcommittee meeting.
I was able to review the meeting and changes to. Oh, sorry. I will move to approve the record of action for November 18th, 2024 CABS Policy and Budget Subcommittee meeting.
Perfect. I will second that. Kimmy, I think we are good because we both nominated and seconded.
Okay, perfect.
Sweet. Moving to item number 6.
Sorry.
Discuss development and planning process for the request for proposals. Want to kick this off?
Sure, so I know there's been conversation both in the full cab level and then also within this subcommittee to have a opportunity to provide some feedback in preparation for RFPs that would need to be released for the new 3-year contract cycle of the AB 109 community programs. We will, and this might be also in conjunction with number 7, with this particular body's involvement in the planning around the one-time $15 million allocation for reserve funding on a number of different pilots. You all have expressed interest to be able to provide some feedback on the development of any future RFPs from those respective agencies that are receiving dollars to implement new programs. So what we've provided for you, at least for number 6, is it's actually a link to our contracts opportunities webpage. And you know, actually, if you click on it, I hope it doesn't run an error. We just recently switched the website, switched to a new website. It may have impacted this ability to get to it, but
It won't let me click.
they won't let you go there.
Yeah, it won't let me click in the agenda.
Okay, I might have to run in the back to Kimmy and show you where we can pull it online. But anyway, all of the RFP documents of the previous, I think it was released out in 21 or 22, are on that web page of our contract opportunities. And so what we have listed for you is the RFP to procure evidence-based housing and employment programs. Then the RFP to procure family reunification, mentoring, peer mentoring for West County and civil legal aid services. And then a RFP for the management network system of services out in East and Central County. So not quite sure how you want to do with the, oh, and then we do have one for RSCs now, they're really pulled out of to this public. So I kind of leave it to the committee to kind of talk about, you know, what's going to be your process for providing feedback or input. Not sure if you had an opportunity to look at any of the RFP documents. They're pretty lengthy. I can give somewhat of a snapshot of what's all included, you know, because sections or what have you. But yeah, we can at least start from there.
What would be like the timeline for you all to release?
So we're aiming to release at the end of January, for these 7 core services. So again, housing, employment, family reunification, civil legal aid, reentry network, and the success center. Missing one. I said mentoring, civil legal aid. Yeah, we're aiming for, end of January for that. For then the, one-time pilots, we will be running the RFPs for the transportation services and then also for the gender responsive services. We're aiming to release those to go out at the beginning of April. So we're trying to stagger them. So I would say for the 8109 RFPs, they went through quite a bit of revision the last time because this was our first time requiring all providers to include a logic model and provide logic model templates for them. We also, for the housing and employment, required that they identify the evidence-based model that they would then implement for the respective service population. For the others, in terms of like the management of network system of services, as well as for the reentry success center, many years ago, the county adopted the model that then led to the creation of those 2 hubs. So those will likely, for the most part, still remain as is. Where we're trying to make some enhancements is around, you know, requirement of implementing evidence-based practices, making sure that that's embedded into their work. And then we internally are building up our own sort of monitoring process so we can ensure those practices are being implemented, they're being done so to adult and things of that nature. So internally, we're re-looking at the document to see where we can make some adjustments, but for the most part, in terms of the scope of service, and what's expected in terms of the actual activities that will be delivered or the respective deliverables, we're largely the amount of revision to the.
I think initially when this came up, it was just for us to be able to find that balance. I think this upcoming year, just with the European Park, a lot has been put in place up until this new RFPs are coming up on it. So to get changes and adjustments already been made. In my opinion, I think it's more of us as a committee getting more familiar with what we're reading, because a lot of folks don't know an RFP and what they're reading. And then look to give feedback based on these new changes that we made, any other gaps that we identified, and we fully have an understanding of what we're reading. And then when the next round come up, we'll probably, I think that we're all more educated, so actually get more feedback if we think that's something, or give a recommendation to we think that would change. I don't think just the committee as a whole, a lot of people are really familiar with that process to be able to give feedback in that matter. But initially this came up because we never seen it. And so I think going into this new year, it'll be a great thing to come just look at, and start asking questions that we've never asked before. If we're charging us with something in such a short notice that we don't really have, I don't think we have what we need to be able to make adjustments to their RFP. And I know that just based on 2023 ambassador meetings and this year, and the goal of CAB, there was a lot of work that was put in place for RJ to make changes in reference to how they're looking at outcomes or requesting products for information. So I personally would love to see the outcomes of what they're putting forth now, and then focus on, like I just said, our new program, not new programs, our recommendations that we move forward, kind of really see how these things are turning out, and give feedback once we're more knowledgeable around these practices.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I aligned it. One, the timeline doesn't work to really give any feedback that we get around. For the April, are you envisioning that in the full CAB, or do you want to pull that into the subcommittee to work?
we, so in reference, it's kind of like what we're doing with, the housing one and for like the GI. So as RFPs go out, for example, with the housing, when I volunteered for that, when H2 have their RFPs, I would take place and help them review, on half cap. And then they're also going to do an update regarding the GI. I recommend, but I don't mind being a part, but I also wanted to open it up for you to also be a part of that, if you would like to also take place in that. And to see if there's other members that do want to be a part of the panel. So we're not there right now. We're just more want to participate on the review panel and look at what they're putting out there. But it would be our check that's actually putting forward the RFPs. We don't have to put a group together.
I got it. I thought we were providing feedback.
No, they're right there.
I know they're writing it. I thought we were providing feedback. Is that not accurate? The RFP?
Are you providing feedback? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If my understanding is for this conversation, you might want to talk about process for how you want to provide.
Okay.
So when, like, maybe giving a little more detail. So you said beginning of April is when you want to release it. When would it be helpful to collect feedback from CAB? Like, do you have ideas fully fleshed out, or have you started to write, or is it something that's?
No, we haven't started to write for those. We are looking at other model template RFPs, like we looked at the Santa Clara. There have been other, I want to say this for the transportation, previous RFP for the innovation. Oh, that's the other one, innovation fund too. That would be part of that April kind of cohort, if you will, of RFPs. I believe there may have been some language there that we can pull from to determine how best to structure that. To be quite frank, I think we're gonna lean quite a lot on the briefs and the addendums that you all can put together on some of those items to make sure that is in line with what you guys were looking for. We can maybe in a future meeting sort of put it, like an outline or draft on the scope of work kind of thing, so you can just see that at a high level to see if that's something that you want to, if there's anything maybe missing that should be included. But again, that's more or less over the structure of the service itself.
Yeah.
If there are other elements to the RFP that you also want to have feedback on. I would say I would highly encourage you looking at the existing RFPs. It's it is a lot of information, but it is just to get a sense of, how we're scoring, the proposals, the type of questions that we're asking, the various requirements that we are asking of them to be included in their narrative, their budget, things like that. Those sort of elements, if you're looking to have give office feedback on that too. I'm not sure the best process on how to give that to us, but I would say first things first is to kind of look at our fees and then see from there, especially if you have any questions on how it's structured and things like that, where you might want to see some adjustments.
So I don't think I had envisioned us giving feedback on the structure of the RFP. It was more the content, ensuring that it aligned with what we brought forward for the recommendations.
Right.
So if I'm hearing you correctly.
So mostly the service itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys can bring that to us in January, February, I guess.
That's what I was putting down, February.
Maybe to the full cab, and then we can review that, and that would be a nice refresher for them as well. Would that give you enough time to incorporate any changes?
For the April, yes.
Because the January one, we're not gonna be.
We're already done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So just clarify for myself, there's two things going on here. So we have our transportation and gender responsive services, and like the innovation, that will be our business and out to our check. Then we have our other program providers that are working on our fees, H3, EHSD. That's the only two, right? No, behavioral health and behavioral
Well,
health.
behavioral health isn't, I don't think they're doing the RFP, that's all internal staff, that's staffing.
So for those, I know
H3.
H3 reached out, and I know when it comes to the GI, Marlon reached out. So for the employment and the behavioral health work, how will CAB give or provide input for those?
We can reach out to behavioral health to see where they're at with this specific project. Keep in mind, a lot of major state mandates just kind of put them at, I don't envy them at all, but you know, hey, it is what it is, you know? With Care Court launching, still rolling out things having to do with the Cal justice, practice. So we could see if you would like, to see if they're available to kind of speak to an update sometime in February.
I think February or March, because I know January, they have to put together a new commission for the behavioral health. And a lot of other things that are coming online, so January and February may be a little hard for them, just knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just open up to when do they feel like they'll be available in the new year to be able to come back and give Kevin an update on where they are. Because I do agree with you, they've been charged with a lot right now, and I don't see them coming back in January or February.
Okay, so well, then what I'm hearing in terms of direction is we should reach out to them to see when would be a good time for them to provide an update on the priority area 2 for behavioral health, which is the mobile services, the CSW staff.
Because I know at the last CCP meeting, they were asking, well, you know, is some of the priorities very early, and I wasn't sure. And then for the employment one, are we still working? Is that all going from EHSD?
Yes, but I believe Tamia Brown, who's also on CCP, will be taking lead role in that specific pathway project.
And then we can also ask her. So I think it'd be great if we can figure out what level of participation you're just reviewing to make sure that lines good are making there's timer that may be able to reviewing. You know, what they're putting forward, so they're bringing for CAB, just ensuring that we have our eyes on it to get feedback.
And maybe making that the request, the trees is like. CAB is trying to understand our role in participation in kind of crafting this. And so if they can come to us ahead of any major deadlines or like implementation, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Is that good? And I would apologize for this, but I think getting an update and making sure it's all aligned is good.
We just remember that, like, you know, like, someone. I don't know how much it's supposed to have either, but to be able to say, make sure the person is, you know, even if we do get feedback, and it doesn't, I mean, at least we were able to advocate for this population, whatever.
How do we help kind of carrying down that, right? How do we help like HR and EHST coordinate force? Like, do we play a role in that, or are we just like inviting people to a space to get an update? Oh, that is happening.
I think certainly if the chain of communication had not yet taken place, I'm sure an invitation to a public meeting to share update would certainly put it on their radar to
Yeah.
start doing something. But, yeah, so I think that if you're considering where you all would stand in all of this, I think it doesn't hurt. It's no different from what we did even the planning
Yeah.
aspect, is invite folks to come and share.
Okay.
And so it would just be sort of the next level of that, invite and share out what's been the work to date. What are some of the challenges or barriers that they're facing, what is it, you know, all that.
I think it's the same request, like, when can they, ahead of any major decisions that they need to make with regard to these investments. A side question, Colleen is gonna go through which department.
It is, so it's multiple agencies impacted, but the actual implementation is really spearheaded by health service.
We still want to look at, it, even though we're not providing feedback, still look at the audit, we can look at our first meeting next year, if we have anything to talk about. I think better than that. For the audit, well, it's been provided to look at. But I mean, just, we have any.
Nicole, you're gonna have to talk louder. We can't hear you.
All right, well, put it on me. I don't know what is with me and I'm in
You just
vacation
called,
phase.
you're ready.
I'm really calm. I am in December. I'm like, boom. No, do we want to put it as an agenda item on our first meeting, just in case there's things that we may have questions for, like, for RJ? We're not making any suggestions for changes, but it'd be like my first time outside of house and then looking at the RFP, so I probably, if anything comes up, just have the agenda.
Or maybe have it as homework for people to review in advance, because.
Oh, yeah, we do it before, yeah, so we do it before our first policy and budget meeting. It's gonna be into February or 2020. I was trying to give you that window of time, because I'm enjoying my 2-week vacation.
Now, another thing to note, which, we shared this at the CAB meeting, but I'll share it here too. So Justin, you want to hear that we, did reach out to all the CAB members. It's not a requirement, but it certainly provides an opportunity for us to get trained up on how best to approach, evaluating proposals and sitting on review panels. So, that is still up, and available for whomever on the CAB would like to participate in that. So we'll go through sort of the RC process and, you know, all the details, kind of showing you a little bit of also what's happening behind the scenes. We're actually running these things in the important steps that we as the department need to make to ensure that it is a fair and competitive process, and that we ensure that those who are doing so from a partial lens, reducing any conflict, ensure that there's no conflict rather at all as we go through the process.
Any questions or comments from?
Well, I'll add something on here, because I realized that we wanted 6 and 7 for the, CCP meeting on Friday. So, I had a discussion with Patrice, and since we've been working on, this worthwhile year and giving CCP updates, we did not submit the last letter that written because they've already received. So, at the next CCP meeting, I'm just going to announce, our opinion that we have, and then just want to thank you. So I took a few little words that you said, some things you said in the past, and just a big overall, thank you for the word, versus, because you put it for us. So no presentation, no big, just more of a thank you, and kind of where we are and how we're going to move on. You okay with that? And if anyone else wants to come in?
Yeah, it would likely be another short meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be another short meeting. You will hear an update actually from EHSD Director Mama Stewart on the GI. So that's likely to come up. And then any other updates that the CAO's office might have in terms of how they intend to do its tracking, since the expenditures for the one time are really gonna probably be off schedule from what we typically experience for financial reporting on, the typical timeline for the AU, the AU1 base allocation. So, they may have some updates at that point to share out as well. And then obviously the executive committee will make its final vote on the budget for the next fiscal year.
For the first time since I've been part of this, where the meeting's something short.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I actually remember a time, I don't know, Jim was, if she remembers, when it was, even shorter. The meeting ran very quickly, the beginning of the day, first thing in the morning, then we're out there probably an hour. Okay.
Any questions or comments from those on the call?
I have another question for my report out. Is Mariana still out? I sent it to, Kim. I sent it to both.
You can send it to all three. So somebody will. So efficient. Right.
Looks like our next meeting is scheduled for February. We'll probably decide that after people are chosen for the selected subcommittees.
Just a reminder, your retreat is January 25th. We'll be at the Reentry Success Center, all day events on a Saturday. I'm sure you'll be hearing from Adriana soon to start, ensure we have forum for that day, especially to have most of the new members, present. The next OCEC meeting, which is this, I was gonna say next week, because you guys usually meet on Friday, this is a Monday. Later this week, we'll be looking at the board retreat, agenda and maybe some suggestions for changes. But this subcommittee and all CAP subcommittees will not meet in January.
Where's the ranch stuff?
It's in Richmond, off of McDonald Drive.
Right down the street. Lovely. All right, I think with that, the subcommittee is adjourned for the year. Thank you all for participating. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, happy Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.